Thank you. Yes, Cecilia, Patricia, Marcella,
Jai
Anila, and
Satchitanand.
Gabi. Jai Sachidanand. Beautiful. Wonderful Vidhi early in the morning with artis and, wonderful. So let us begin our three mantra.
Vamos a comenzar con el Trimantra.
Yes, Cecilia, we will start with the three mantra from Cecilia.
Sí.
Namo Vidragay, Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Ayariyanam, Namo Vasayanam, Namo Loisavasahunam, Eso Panchanamukaro, Savapavapanashanu, Mangalanam cha savesim, Palaman havai mangalam. O Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, O Namah Shivaya, Jai Sachidanam. Namo Vidragaya, Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Ayariyanam, Namo Vasayanam, Namo Loisavasanam, Eso Panchanamukaro, Savapavapanashano, Mangalanam cha savesim, Padaman havai mangalam. O Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, O Namah Shivaya, Jai Sachidanam. Namo Vidragaya, Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Ayariyanam, Namo Vasayanam, Namo Loisavasahunam, Eso Panchanamukaro, Savapavapanashano, Mangalanam cha savesim, Padaman havai mangalam. O Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Jai Sachidanam, Jai Sachidanam, Jai Sachidanam, Jai Sachidanam.
Jai Sachidan.
Jai
Beautiful.
Sachita.
Jai Sachidan. Wonderful, wonderful. Let's write this down here in the chat. Samarpan. Samarpan Vidhi. This word Samarpan, in the Eastern world, in India, in all the languages of India, is a very magnificent word, samarpan. Samarpan. You are familiar with it. You all are familiar with the meaning of it. You say, I surrender, I surrender, I surrender. But the word surrender in the Western world and samarpan are not exactly matching.
La palabra Samarpan Vidi, Samarpan en el este, en India, en toda la India y a través de todas sus lenguas, es una palabra con la que estamos familiarizados y es cuando decimos nos entregamos, nos rendimos, pero no tiene el mismo significado en el este que en el oeste. Para los occidentales es diferente.
Yes, if we had no words, then of course, yes, we have to begin with the word surrender, but it is not the surrender of surrender after a fight. Somebody has to give in and you say, okay, I surrender now. This is not the surrender of a loss. This is not a surrender of an understanding that it's now I give up. I cannot do anything more. I have done my best and therefore I surrender. You see, that is that kind of surrender, right? A country fights and fights, and then it cannot fight anymore, and it says, okay, a white flag, okay, I surrender now, I surrender.
Tenemos en Occidente la palabra rendirse o entregarse está más relacionado con la guerra y con perder. Entonces, en una guerra, en una lucha, pensamos, bueno, no puedo hacer algo más y me rindo. Luego de la pelea y saco mi bandera blanca.
So that is the surrender, whereas the samarpan actually arises out of love. Samarpan arises out of strength, not out of weakness, but rather out of strength and out of total awareness. See, surrender is out of love. You see, surrender with real love is samarpan.
La entrega o el rendirse es rendirse desde el total amor y entrega.
Our surrender.
Eso es lo que significa samarpan.
So our surrender, our surrender for Dada and Dada Bhagwan and the Lord and for the world and to everything in the relative has begun after we entered the realm of the real, after we entered the realm of the real, you see. After we entered the realm of the real, after we entered the self, after we became absolute, you see.
El rendirse a Dada, el rendirse al Lord, y es rendirse también a todo lo relativo. Y lo podemos hacer cuando entramos en lo real, después de haber entrado en lo real.
Yeah, it is the state of the absolute which is beyond winning and beyond losing, you see. It is beyond fight and no fight. That is when samarpan arises, you see. That is when samarpan arises. Whereas surrender is associated with the ego. You see, with letting go of this ego, letting go of this ego. I am something. I can fight. I will not. I will not let it go. You see.
Nosotros nos rendimos al estado absoluto, más allá de la pelea y de la no pelea. Y cuando nos rendimos así, más allá de pelea y no pelea, entonces surge Samarpan. Cuando es desde el ego, es decir, yo no puedo hacer absolutamente nada más, pero esto es más allá de lo relativo, del ego. Estamos rindiendo el ego.
This beautiful three mantra that our dear Cecilia offered today is associated with Samarpan. You see, it is associated with love to these 5 categories of enlightened ones everywhere in this universe. You see, we are not surrendering to these lords out of a sense of a fear. Oh, if I don't behave, he will punish me, or something wrong will happen to me, or you see, this is surrendering with love and without wanting anything, you see, without any fear, fearless.
El trimantra está absolutamente relacionado con el Samarpan. Es con amor y en estas 5 categorías que son las que iluminan el mundo. Y no es pensar que, bueno, que si no hago las cosas bien, alguien de afuera, un Dios de afuera me va a castigar. Esto es una entrega con absoluto amor, sin querer nada a cambio y sin miedo.
Yeah, so this is sama, sama, like we say, samabhav, equanimity. Sama is that balance, that absolute horizontal line that is achieved when you're neither in this nor are you in this, you see, neither. And then it is the arpan. To arpan means to offer, you see. So some arpan, you see, is to offer with this view of the balance, perfect balance.
Yes. Esta sama es ecuanimidad, es balance, es como las alas de un pájaro, es una línea horizontal que no tiene inclinación. Sama y arpan es ofrecer desde esta visión de perfecto balance. No estás ni acá ni estás acá.
You do not let go of something because you have an agenda or you want something in return, you see. You don't take sides between this one or that one. It is the samarpan of the Lord. It is the samarpan of Lord Jesus, samarpan of Lord Mahavir, samarpan of Dada Bhagwan, you see.
Cuando en el Samarpan no dejas de ir nada, ni esperas nada, no tomas parte de una persona ni de la otra, solo es amar pan cuando lo haces a Lord Jesus, a Lord Mahavir y Lord Tadawan.
Mhm. Mhm. So even this Samarpan, my friends, our dear Dada brought us into, taught us, you see, through his words and by giving us this magnificent Vidhi, you see. You see, this, yes, we, in the Gnan Vidhi, the first thing that we do when we put the photograph of Dada or Lord Simandar on our forehead, that Vidhi, that process, that activity, everybody standing up, you see. Whoever is going to get the Gnan Vidhi, that one stands up and puts that little photo of Dada and Lord Simandar here, you see. And repeat those words, In Gujarati, he says, Human Vachan Kaya, and the last word is Samarpan Karuchu, but when we have to give it to you in English, we have to say, I surrender this mind, this body, you see. But now, today, you have the full meaning of the word samarpan. Yes, at that time, there is this surrender. You have to let go. So you just let go with the words. You see, I surrender. You say, I surrender this mind. I surrender these words, and I surrender this body. We all have said that. You see. And we say it every day with the Vidhi of the Gnani or when the Gnani makes us say this, okay, let us do the Vidhi now, but so next time you hear the word Samarpan, I want you to be who you are, to be who you really are, so the Samarpan happens in even more beautiful way, you see.
Yes. Cuando nuestro amado Dada nos habla y nos da este magnífico Vidi, ¿no? En el Nan Vidi, cuando paramos, nos ponemos la foto de Dada y decimos andar en la frente, todos parados y repitiendo las palabras. Repetimos estas palabras. En español es: yo rindo mi mente, mi cuerpo y mi habla. Y hoy todos decimos esto, ¿no? Lo repetimos en el Charan Vidi, rindo mi mente, mi cuerpo y todas mis palabras. Y también el Nani en los vidis diarios, repetimos, y cuando él dice la palabra, y nos pide ayuda, que cuando volvamos a escuchar la palabra en el vidi de Samarpan, que, que, que seamos lo que realmente somos para que el Samarpan surja
Mhm.
naturalmente.
Mhm. 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 And when that kind of samarpan happens, you see, uh, you don't have to do anything. The science takes over. The science of evidence around you, all the science takes over naturally. And in that also is the evidence of This body of Harman or Anila, the mind, and whatever is going on inside, it's all becomes part of the evidence. None of this is touched. You see, none of it is touched.
Yes. Y cuando escuchemos la palabra Samarpan, sucede, y cuando suceda, que no tenemos que hacer nada. La ciencia de la evidencia se hace cargo naturalmente. También están los cuerpos de Germán, de Anila, y absolutamente nada los puede tocar.
Yes. It's a beautiful word, Samarpan.
Es una hermosa palabra, Samarpan.
Yes, it is. It did not exist in our life before our awakening, you see. It because it cannot exist wherever there is ignorance. You see, ignorance makes you get attached to that which is not under your authority or your control or your realm it's not part of you, and yet you keep on going there, you see. Mine, mine, mine.
No existe vida antes de nuestro despertar, solo existe la ignorancia y el apego y el control y esto de que es mío, mío, yo, ese apego y no es nuestro no volver allí.
And a very fundamental fact, fundamental awareness, part of the fundamental awareness of each one of us is that our samarpan has happened long ago, you see. The day we entered the Gnan Vidhi at the feet of our dearest Dada, you see.
La fundamental conciencia de cada uno, nuestro Samarpan comenzó el día cuando entramos al Nanvidi, cuando entramos a rendirnos y entregarnos a Dada.
And then automatically the science takes over after that. After that, the science. Science means you become aware of the process by which everything is unfolding in front of you. Everything is happening around you and inside you. Yes.
La ciencia a partir de ese momento se encargó y ahora conocemos que la ciencia, conocemos que es el proceso del desarrollo de las evidencias y es lo que está sucediendo.
The air is coming in and going out of this body. The blood is circulating vigorously with every beat of this heart that is inside this body, and it is nourishing all the organs, you see.
El aire entra y sale de nuestro cuerpo y la sangre circula por todo nuestro cuerpo nutriendo absolutamente cada órgano.
Mhm. And the satsang is happening.
Y el satsang está sucediendo.
Yes. The satsang is happening. Satsang means the company of the eternal is increasing and becoming more and more exact and solid.
El satsang está sucediendo y estamos en presencia del Eterno que va creciendo en cada momento y cada vez se vuelve más sólido.
All right, so we go to our, my dear friends, we go to our flawless vision session on this
Vamos a comenzar,
beautiful Saturday.
vamos a comenzar con la visión impecable en este hermoso sábado.
It's the 29th session of the flawless vision that we, we returned to through the Dadavani of July 2010. So let me share this with you.
Vamos a empezar la sesión número 29 de la visión impecable del Dadavani de julio del 2010.
And I share with you here, this is page 38 of the Dadavani. Underlined. We in the previous session, about almost a month ago, we covered this heading, and now we come to this love for favorable circumstances. Okay.
Vamos a comenzar en la página 38 y vamos a ver el amor por las circunstancias favorables.
And let me pull this out here. This sanjog, love for favorable circumstance. Yes, senses. It's all the favorable circumstances. Okay.
Saiyog es la palabra y es el amor por las circunstancias favorables.
And there is, this these word SANJOG and SANYOG are synonymously used for circumstance in Gujarati. Both are the same, sanjog or sanyog, you see.
Saiyog con J y con Y. Sanjog y Saiyog son palabras similares para circunstancias.
Now, Dadashri says, now for you, only circumstances remain. Amapura and Sanyog, right? So interesting. We are covering this in detail. Well, at least in some further details with our Gnani in the last few days now in Satsang too, you see. The same Aptavani 1,
Yes. Dice, ahora para ti solamente hay circunstancias, lo que quedan son las circunstancias. Y es interesante porque esto es lo que está tratando el Gnani en estos 2 últimos días, las circunstancias.
You do not know how to use the pleasant circumstances. It is because you suffer vedavoon, the pleasant circumstances, through I am enjoying, that you have to suffer the bitter ones that follow, the bitter and the painful ones, you see. But if you simply remain the knower of pleasant circumstances, then knowing will remain during the painful circumstances too. But you cannot get rid of the old habits, and that is why you become the enjoyer. The self as capital does not enjoy or suffer anything at all. Suffer is a correct word here. Suffer pleasure, suffer pain. Enjoy anything at all. It continues to know everything. The one that suffers, enjoys, is the illusory soul. It is the relative self, pratishthit atma, the one that I believe myself to be, that was charged in the past life. You have to know that too. Oh ho ho, this pratishthit atma has become engrossed tanmayakar in the pleasant circumstances. Let you read this.
Para ti solamente las circunstancias permanecen. No sabes cómo utilizar las circunstancias agradables. Debes sufrir las circunstancias dolorosas y amargas porque atraviesas vedavoon, las circunstancias agradables sintiendo que estoy disfrutando o sufriendo. Pero si simplemente te mantienes conocedor de las circunstancias agradables, el conocimiento se mantendrá allí también durante las dolorosas, pero no puedes deshacerte de los viejos hábitos. Y es por ello que te vuelves el que disfruta. El ser con mayúscula no disfruta de nada en absoluto, solo conoce todo. Aquel que disfruta es el alma ilusoria, tan macayar, el ser relativo, pratishthit, que se carga en la vida pasada. Debes conocer eso también. Ja, ja, ja. Este pratishthit está enviciado de circunstancias placenteras.
How do you say ha 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 in Spanish? How this represents surprise, a sudden surprise, you see. Oh, wow, it's like saying wow, aha,
Okay, not
No,
laughing,
it's
not
not
laughing.
okay.
Bueno,
No, we should
ja, ja,
write it
ja.
Yeah,
differently.
all right. Okay, good. All right. Yeah, so you see, it's like saying, oh, ho, ho, like all of a sudden, it's as if, oh, wow, this Fabi is gotten so absorbed in this cheesecake is that she's eating, you see. she became Tanmayakar, you see. You just need to know that, you see.
La palabra jajaja que dice tiene más que ver con oh, wow, que con una risa, ¿no? Acá lo que representa es una sorpresa, ¿no? Y por ejemplo, Gaby está absorbida por el cheesecake que está comiendo, pero y tan macayar, ¿no? Pero es solo conocer lo que está sucediendo.
My friends, this is such a small paragraph. This is such a small paragraph that we just read in this, but it has got tons and tons of information about the chapter of pleasure, you see, the chapter of pleasure in life. to anything that is pleasant. You see, how one becomes involved in it, you see. And Dadashri is showing to us in exactness who is getting involved in it and who are you. You see, this is the exact differentiation, this is the exact separation, you see.
Yes. En este pequeño párrafo que tiene tanta información en el capítulo de placer en la vida. Y Dada nos muestra Dada cómo nos involucramos. Nos muestra quién se involucra y quién eres tú.
This is the fundamental basis of the awareness of the knower, you see. You and I have you have entered into this Y capital state of the knower of the circumstance. This circumstance that arises in front of us, in front of us. The circumstance of a cheesecake. All right, the circumstance of a cheesecake in front of Fabi. Okay, now it's a circumstance of a cheesecake in front of Fabi. It is not only the circumstance of the cheesecake, but the entire Fabi is also part of the circumstance, you see.
Lo fundamental es una base fundamental de conocer el yo con la I mayúscula de las circunstancias que surgen frente a nosotros. Por ejemplo, esta es la circunstancia del cheesecake frente a Gaby. Y también la circunstancia de Fabi con el cheesecake.
You see, it is this pratishthit atma. In the last life, you had given energies, the same, you had given energies to a body that now arose and in this life is called Gabi. You see, is called Gabi, and she gets up in the morning and goes to bed at night. This, instead of Gabi, you can put your own name, but this is this relative self, you see. This relative self, you see. And you can have so many different names: illusory soul, relative self, you see. Pratishthit atma, the soul that you had energized by saying, I am this body, I am this body, I am this body, I am this body. And so it became a Gabi or a Harman in this life, you see. And now Gabi or Harman is getting engrossed, is becoming involved in the pleasant circumstance, you see.
Debido a que en vida pasada hemos dado energía, es que hoy está el cuerpo de Gaby, que se levanta por la mañana y a la noche se va a dormir. Le damos energía a este ser relativo que se puede llamar ilusión del alma, el ser relativo, el pratishthit, es de que yo soy este cuerpo. Y entonces así se volvió Gaby o se volvió Germán y ahora se involucra en el placer de las circunstancias.
Dadashri gives a very important difference, a note. He says, you Mahatmas, You all Mahatmas do not know how to use the pleasant circumstances. You see, you do not know how to use the pleasant circumstances.
Y acá Dada nos da una importante diferencia y dice, ustedes Mahatmas no saben cómo aprovechar las circunstancias favorables.
Yeah, yes, surely. Yes, but we are learning, Dada, we are learning. Yes, teach us, Dada, we are learning. Dada Shri says, know that this wonderful, beautiful, pleasant circumstances will arise in front of you, that which you like, that which is very pleasant to you. You means that which is pleasant to this body called Shuddha or Habi or Gabi, you see. She likes it, you see. She likes it. And I can know that she likes this. I know she likes it, and I know she likes it this way. I know she likes her cake this way and with at this temperature, or etc., etc. So many ways in which you like what you like, you see.
Dada dice que esta hermosa circunstancia que vendrá de placer para este cuerpo, el cuerpo de Shuddha, de Gaby y de todos. Y yo sé que le gusta, como si le gusta el cheesecake, en qué temperatura, y qué clase de torta, y qué clase de forma le gusta. Pero yo sé que le causa placer.
Yeah, you see this word Veda, and I'm writing this down, it's a famous scripture of Hinduism, right? It's one of the Vedas and the Puranas, you see. It's as ancient as India, you see. Uh, scripture of Veda, of Hinduism, Hindus, you see, Hinduism. It's so complex. There's huge text, huge. That's Vedas, you see. And then there is the Upanishads. But anyway, the Veda, say okay with Veda. And then Veda means to know. That is the exact meaning of the word Veda. The one who is, the one who knows, Vedas, to know. But also but is it, how do you know anything? To know anything, how do you know anything? How do you know anything in life? Here's the question, right? How do you know anything in life? Do you know it just because you study it? No. How do you know anything? The answer is you have to, quote unquote, if I may use the word, you have to taste it. In other words, you have to go through it in order to know it, you see.
Yes. Veda quiere decir conocer. Y esto tiene que ver con Veda, viene de las famosas escrituras antiguas de la India que son del hinduismo. Son complejas, inmensas y son de los Upanishads. Y Veda es conocer. Pero ¿cómo sabes algo en la vida? ¿Cómo sabes que conoces? Y tienes que probarlo, tienes que ir a través de eso, atravesarlo. Es un proceso.
Yeah, it's a process. So, everything, every little experience of yours and mine in life is associated with knowing it. You see, you cannot You cannot tell a young girl who is now turning 16, 17, 18, 19, oh, there's no fun in getting married, my dear girl, don't get married. You cannot give her this knowledge. This is not worth it. Can you?
Yesterday, my daughter-in-law told me my grandson wants to get married and have children, and he's also only 10 years old.
Yeah, that's what they learn, what the world teaches them, you see.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Bueno, dice que todo pequeño de nuestros, de lo que es tuyo, de lo que es mío en la vida, está asociado. Y, por ejemplo, tú no le puedes decir a una niña de 15 a 16 años que quiere casarse que no se case y que es muy joven o lo que fuera. No lo puedes decir.
Mhm. The same way, the girl says, "What? This lady herself is married, and she's gone through it, I see her to be happy, and now she's telling me, it's not worth getting married, Well, maybe, yes, you're giving her knowledge of a broad spectrum of life. You see, you're giving her a broad spectrum knowledge of life, you see, of life. What does it mean? What's the meaning behind it? But you see, this young lady will have to go through her own knowing, her own process of knowing, tasting, experiencing, you see.
Esta niña de 15 o 16 años que le dice a una mujer que está casada y está bien, le dice que no se case y trata de esta mujer de que no se le dice que no se case y trata de darle todo su conocimiento y su experiencia. Y la niña dice, pero ella está casada, está bien y me está diciendo que no me case. Y esta niña tiene que pasar por su propio proceso de conocimiento, de probar, de experiencia.
So my friends, in life there is this circumstance that unfolds in front of a human being, and then there is the self, and the process between the self and the circumstance is one of continuous state of knowing through tasting or going through it, suffering. You see, vedavoon is the word. In other words, you are, hey, try it. Somebody offers you a piece of some interesting, new, different kind of food, and you look at it and say, "No, I don't want it." You have never tried it. Come on, try it. You see, put it in your mouth and see if you like it. You cannot say, "No, no, 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 I don't like it." You see, so that's how life is. The process of, I'm looking at the other spectrum. I'm giving you the whole spectrum. The process of knowing is associated with initially going through the experiences, you see, going through the experiences. And you and I have gone through infinite experiences, life after life after life, you see, of pleasure and pain and pleasure and pain, you see. And here we are now on the other side now, of the ocean.
Yes. Todo lo que hay es las circunstancias que surgen frente, que surgen enfrente y el ser. Y el proceso es continuo, ¿no? Es un estado continuo de conocimiento, de conocer y probar el sufrimiento y el placer. Eso es vedavoon. Por ejemplo, alguien te da algo para comer que nunca probaste en tu vida y tú dices no, y la persona dice no, pruébalo. No, no, no. Y así es la vida, es el proceso, es el espectro de conocer a través de la experiencia. Y esto es lo que viene sucediendo por infinitas vidas, ¿no? Transcurrir a través de la experiencia y del dolor, de experimentar el placer y el dolor. Y aquí estamos hoy del otro lado del océano.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that is, you see, so now the Dadashri says, you Mahatmas, now you're Mahatmas now. I have lifted you up into the state of the absolute knower, the knower. And I'm giving you the exact light. And then in that light you can see Cristian having his cup of coffee and his favorite cake. And you need to learn how to enjoy the pleasant circumstances. You need to learn how to use. He doesn't say enjoy, he says you need to know how to use the pleasant circumstances. He has entered into the word upayog, use. You see, use is upayog, you see. Yog, upayog. How do you use your mind? How do you use your hands? How do you use your brain? And then how do you use yourself, your light? You see?
Dada dice, ustedes Mahatmas, ustedes son Mahatmas. Yo los elevé al estado del absoluto conocimiento y les di la exacta luz. Y entonces podemos ver a Cristian que con su taza de café, su torta favorita, y necesitas aprender a disfrutar. Necesitas también aprender a usar los momentos placenteros, upayog. Aprendemos a usar la mente, el cuerpo, aprendemos a usar las palabras. Dada nos muestra aprender a usar el ser.
And he gives a very big statement, which is this. But if you remain the knower of the pleasant circumstance, the coffee and the cake that you love, that Christian loves, then the knowing will remain during the painful one too. There will be a painful circumstance too. So, this is so beautiful. This particular sentence is very, very important, you see.
Entonces Dada nos dio un gran conocimiento cuando dices en los momentos placenteros mantenerse en el conocedor. Cristian se mantiene el conocedor de la torta y del café. Y cuando entonces vengan los momentos de dolor, el conocedor también estará ahí.
You see, this so we now understand this word vedavoon. You see, you become this you become the sufferer. You see, you become the eater. You become, oh, I love this cake. I love it. It is so good. You see, even when you say this, your knower doesn't disappear. Your knower still is there. He knows that Cristian is saying, wow, what a wonderful cake. You see, you know. So the knower is always there. The sufferer, the enjoyer, is also there. You cannot remove the two. In Akram Vignan, nothing is removed. You see, the beautiful cake will come in front of you, and you will eat it, and you will enjoy it and relish it and delight in it. But so the knower remains, and the enjoyer is also there. So these things are part of this thing is happening. You see, this is continuously happening. The knowing is continuously happening, and the process of the enjoyment is also happening, or the process of suffering is also happening. You see.
Em, vedavoon es una palabra que dice como que te vuelves el que come la torta, que ama la torta, que le encanta. Pero también está el conocedor que ve a Cristian que dice qué rica torta. El conocedor está cuando disfrutas y el conocedor también está cuando sufres o tienes dolor o hay dolor. Nada se retira, la torta va a seguir estando y el conocedor también va a seguir estando. El conocedor y el que disfruta son parte del proceso de lo que está sucediendo.
But he says this is the old habit, and you cannot get rid of the whole. The old habit is what you and I and all of us have been. Part of Akram Vignan is that the knowledge, this knowledge that we have, the knowledge that you and I have, this awakening that has happened to each one of us has happened without the removal of the process of the discharge of these three batteries of the mind, speech, and body of Yaya. This mind, speech, and body is discharging, and you have become the knower, you see. So, but the old habit is referred to is to say, oh, I love it, I enjoyed it, I am not feeling good. You see, that is the old habit. It is not really true. You see, it is not really true. You know that it is happening to Yaya, but really you know who you are. You see.
Yes. Son los viejos hábitos, dice Dada, lo que es lo que ha sido, ¿no? Lo que sucede, lo que tenemos ahora son los viejos hábitos de lo que hemos sido. El conocimiento que tenemos y el despertar que hemos recibido es sin remover el proceso de descarga de la mente, del cuerpo y de las palabras de Yaya, por ejemplo, y yo soy el conocedor de eso. O yo disfruto la torta o yo me siento mal, pero sabemos que eso no es verdad, sabemos que eso está sucediendo en el cuerpo y yo soy el conocedor de lo que está sucediendo enfrente mío.
Yeah, there is
Enfrente de mí.
Sorry, Dada has used the word kind of, there is a new word here in Gujarati that is not quite translated. It's called Jana and Panu, Janava Panu. It means it is in the process, knowingness. If I can use the word knowingness. In other words, the process of knowing is continuing. You see, the knowing is continuing. The knowing does not stop. The knower is eternal, and the process of the knowing is also eternal. And the circumstances are temporary. They come and go, and the suffering, the enjoying, the pleasure and pain is also temporary and changing, you see, in front of us.
Hay una palabra que es Janavapanu, ¿no? Y es el proceso del conocimiento que es eterno, ¿no? Es un proceso que es eterno. Las circunstancias son temporales y el dolor y el placer son temporales y son cambiantes. El conocimiento es eterno, es continuo.
Yeah, and this is so beautiful. This is very, very critical to grab. It is happening. By the way, this process is happening in all of us. You and I might say, "Oh, I had a beautiful lunch. The lunch was good." You see, the lunch was wonderful, but you are aware that Gabi is saying it, Yaya is saying it, it's over, you are aware of the one who is saying it. So the knower is knowing, and this one is just saying what happened, the eater ate, and I, the knower, has moved on. Now I'm back in the office now. The lunch was then. You see, it's over.
Esto lo tenemos todos, ¿no? Por ejemplo, el almuerzo de hoy fue exquisito, pero está el conocedor que sabe quién lo dice y dice lo que pasa o lo que pasó.
Yes. Now this, you see, the self does not enjoy anything, is actually the continuation of this vedavoon, the atma vedatoj nathi. In other words, it does not enter into, the self never enters into the process of the self that you and I have attained in the Gnanvidi, and that self has never tasted a cheesecake. The self has never entered into all of that. It is this one who life after and life has had different bodies and is in every life says, "Oh, I had a wonderful life. Oh, this is not so good. This one I suffered." You see, that same one continues in this old habit of enjoy, have fun in this vacation, or oh, it was not so good, it was horrible, etc. You see, it is the non-self. It is the one that was energized. It is the one in whom you had believed, you had felt the energies. Oh, I am this body, I am this body.
El ser nunca disfruta ni sufre absolutamente nada. Solo aquel que fue energizado en otra vida, es el que cree que come, que disfruta, que esto es bueno, que tiene placer, que tiene dolor, que se siente bien y que está, o que está mal. Es ese el que prueba, pero el ser nunca disfruta o sufre absolutamente nada, está separado.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. It is purely an effect. It is purely an effect. These effects come and go, and these circumstances arise in front of you and I to give us, to produce these effects, you see. These produce these effects in front of us. This circumstances, sanjog, arise in front of us, and by becoming the enjoyer, you 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 do not see it, you miss out the beauty of the Gnan that Dada has given you and I, you see. At that time, you get out of your bliss, you become the enjoyer, you see.
Todo lo que sucede es puro efecto que viene y va. En realidad, las circunstancias surgen para producir efectos, ¿no? Sanyog son las circunstancias que hace que surgen para producir estos efectos. Y para, es como que volviéndote el que disfruta, te vuelves y no ves y pierdes lo bello que del Gnan, lo que Dada nos dio.
Yes, in other words, it is the illusory self that is going through this process, you see. It is the self, it is the illusory self, the self that had arisen out of illusion in the past life and now is discharging in this life, that is going through the process of enjoying a cake or leaving alone a whole big plate of food because it doesn't appeal to him, you see. The this is this So understand this saiyog, understand the circumstance, and understand that the circumstance is associated with a process that is happening at the level of the non-self only, you see. And I am the blissful knower of what Shuddha is doing, what Cristian is doing, what Gabi is doing, I was going through, you see.
El ser ilusorio es el que va por el proceso de disfrutar o de sufrir. Y esto sucede en el nivel del no ser. Y yo soy el dichoso que ve, el dichoso conocedor que ve
One of the
lo que
most
sucede.
one of the most phenomenal take-home message in today's satsang is that no matter understand that this tanmayakar, this involvement, this becoming one in this situation of the pleasure is not you. You are not getting involved in it. You have entered into the realm of the eternal that is that that allows you to see this as it is happening, you see. If not at that time, maybe a little bit later.
Lo maravilloso de esto que estamos viendo, que este involucrarse con el placer, no eres tú no te involucras, estás en lo eterno, que te permite ver lo que está sucediendo, ver lo que sucede. Tal vez no lo veas ahora, pero lo verás en poco después.
I want you, and we all should be very aware of this, so that when you see a human being who is going through great suffering, you have to know that his ama is absolutely blissful inside. This is the non-self complex that is going through this great suffering. Just like when the same person is having a fantastic time at a vacation, which he has been looking forward to for a long time, you see, he's having fun, you see, both.
Lo importante de mantener este conocimiento es que cuando vemos a las personas que están pasando por un gran sufrimiento, esto pertenece al complejo del no ser. De la misma forma, cuando alguien añoró vacaciones durante mucho tiempo y las disfrutó, también saber que ese placer es del complejo del no ser.
Shuddhatma Bhagavan, so let us take your
Can
coffee.
I make a little question, Shuddha?
Yeah, yes.
You were talking about the enjoyment that the relative has on several things. What happens? Does the relative enjoy the self when you're connected, when you're in satsang, or the prajna, or the one in between? When it touches a part of the consciousness or a part of the self, it looks like a kind of enjoy, at least for Cristian, when you, by example, are repeating or singing, or you're in satsang with the Gnani or whatever of this situation. Cristian feels a kind of enjoyment, a kind of happiness, a kind of pleasure. So in the realm of the pleasure, do the relative or do the prajna, I don't know who, or the one in the middle, enjoys also the self?
No,
Sorry.
Sir.
Traducí, por favor, Cristian.
Mi pregunta es si, como él decía que el relativo siente el placer en las cosas que come, siente el placer en las cosas que disfruta, lo tiene que observar, está este hábito de sentir las cosas que todavía está y disfruta el relativo. Yo le preguntaba qué pasa con cuando uno, que es el relativo, es aquel que está en el medio entre el relativo y el ser real, cuando uno disfruta el ser real, cuando uno está en satsang, cuando uno está con el Gnani, cuando uno está cantando, y uno entra en una sensación de felicidad, de placer, de alegría. ¿Quién es el que siente eso? O sea, ¿uno siente también placer en el ser? Esa era mi pregunta.
Gracias.
Yeah, what you're describing is called, you see, there's, since we are on the topic of pleasure, pleasure, as you know, is part of the rag, or the rag, or the otherwise known as attachment. To go in the direction of, you see, not to repel, but to go in the direction of, you see, pleasure. Pleasure makes us linger there when it is pleasant. When you're having a good time, you want more of it. You don't want time. You want time to stop. You want time to stop, you see. And so pleasure, so what you're describing is called a very special kind of rag or pleasure. What you just described is called rag. Otherwise, in other words, it is a pleasure towards the self. You see, pleasure towards the self, and anything that moves you in that direction. You see.
Lo que describes es tiene que ver con este tópico del placer, del apego y de ir en dirección del placer. Y es como que no queremos parar con eso. Lo que describes es un apego especial y es el placer del ser o lo que te lleva al ser.
In other words, anything that leads you in that direction, the Gnani being the main nimit, so there is there is the Gnani, everything about his words, it is associated with this, what you just described. It's associated with a very special kind of pleasure, you see, because there is no other word, but it pulls you in the direction of the self, and that is what you are describing. It's good. It will remain until until a stage comes when you become absolutely independent, but until then it is good, and that is what satsang and agnas, etc., is designed for, you see.
Esto que describes es el apego especial del ser, ¿no? Entonces cualquier cosa que este placer del ser es lo que estás describiendo y esto es bueno. Y, es muy bueno y te lleva a permanecer y permaneces en él hasta que llegues a la absoluta independencia. Y por eso, para eso están las agnas, para eso está el satsang.
It is still, still not exactly of the self. It is part of the liberating energy of the self, you see. It is part of the liberating energy of the self. The self is the pure knower. So you know that something, very beautiful is happening, but you have difficulty in expressing it. All you know is that you love satsang, or you love, the words of Dada, and and it is beyond any relative pleasure, you see. No matter how tired you may be, the moment you begin to do some work of Dada, there is a different kind of energy, you see.
Bueno, se me comportó un poquito la internet y lo que escuché es esto, ¿no? Que si bien no es exactamente, y ahí se cortó. Y después lo que escuché es que es el amor por el satsang y por el amor por las palabras de Dada que te llevan a este placer relativo, pero vos estás cansado o agotado, e inmediatamente las palabras de Dada, el satsang, cantar, te llevan a un estado de placer y te dan una energía, como cambia la energía al estar en contacto con Dada y todo este conocimiento maravilloso.
So yes, you're right. There is this type of very special rag attachment is it happens to everyone who, the more they understand and realize the beauty of what they have attained through the Gnani, you see. And this type of rag is absolutely worth having. This is this is not to be denied, and this it's very healthy for liberation, but it is not the final thing, you see. The final thing is the ama only, you see.
Yes. Sí, a lo que estás diciendo, Cristian, hay un especial apego. Esto sucede a todos los que descubren lo maravilloso que obtuvimos en el Nan de Dada, y no hay que negarlo ni dejarlo. Es bueno absolutamente, pero finalmente lo maravilloso va a llegar cuando solo sea el alma.
Yeah,
dijo también que era un apego muy saludable y era un apego que valía la pena tener para esto hasta que uno...
Ahí se me cortaste vos ahora.
llegar el alma.
Perdón, ¿puedes repetir, Cristian, que se te cortó? Gracias.
Okay. Okay, good. So wonderful. So let us take a little break for our satsang, and then we will return in 10 minutes. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Fabi, Cristian, and Patricia, my dear.
Vamos a un recreo de 10 minutos y continuamos.
Jai Sachidanand.
Jai Sachidanand.
Gracias.
Jai Sachidanand.
Cristian, ¿qué es lo que dijo Shuddha que faltó porque te cortaste?
Hola.
Jai Sachidanand.
Jai Sachidanand, ya. Dijo que en realidad era un apego especial, que eso todo lo hizo a Pata, y que ese apego especial era un apego que valía la pena tener, que era un apego, el apego del conocimiento, el apego Salnani, que también daba placer, pero y que era un apego saludable, beneficioso, y que hasta que llegáramos al alma y fuéramos dependientes era un buen apego.
Gracias. Es que justo estabas hablando y se cortó y no te escuchamos.
Sí, es que estoy justo me entró una llamada, estoy acá afuera.
Eso se podría llamar más bien dicha. Una cosa es el placer y otra cosa es la dicha. Entonces, claro, esto de estar en contacto con el alma pura y que eso te da tranquilidad y te da algo estable que no tiene altos y bajos, podría llamarlo dicha. No sé.
Sí,
se me ocurre.
Sí, la pregunta, sí. Sí. Creo que tienes razón. Ahora, Cristian no puede hacer esa distinción tan quirúrgica entre la dicha y la felicidad todavía. Todavía está pegado en el gran filósofo Charlie García, dijo, gozar es tan parecido al amor. Y yo todavía tengo ahí un tema de mezcla.
Buenísimo.
Lindo. Gracias por...
Poco a poco.
Charlie García dijo tantas cosas. Cuidado.
Bueno, pero vamos a seguir algunas, Carlito.
Cuidado.
Se te cayeron las sotas.
Se te ve muy Charlie García últimamente.
¡Estás bonito!
¿Alguien sabe que el viaje de Dipabai a Reino Unido en abril se suspendió?
Yo escuché eso, pero lo escuché como por el correo de las brujas, no sé si en realidad es algo oficial.
Bueno. Todo lo de Guru Purnima, todo esto sigue, pero todavía no ha empezado la suscripción, ¿verdad? No podemos inscribirnos.
No, o sea, la carta de intención, sería bueno preguntar acá, porque yo no pregunté por lo menos a los mahatmas de Chile, nada de si se han inscrito en algún lado, bueno, sería bueno mandar una lista que sea de intención, ¿no?
Sí está, Cris, se ha mandado varias veces al
Yo ya
chat
me
de
inscribí.
Mahatma.
Ya me
Se ha
inscribí,
mandado
ya me
varias
inscribí.
veces una inscripción de
Sí.
intención y ya
Solamente
está.
de
mandó la
intención,
Yaya.
pero todavía no está registro para
No,
la
porque
reserva del hotel.
todavía V no pide eso, ellos están en conversación con Damian y todavía no llega el momento de tener que hacer como ya la inscripción formal.
La reserva.
Estamos todos en etapa de intención por ahora.
Con el apego, como decía ahora. El apego,
Con el
¿cómo lo llamamos?
Prajasta Rak.
El Prajasta. Prajasta.
Prajasta Rak.
Prajasta Rak. Poco a poco
El
nos iremos
buen
quedando
apego.
con las palabras estas del Gujarati, ¿eh?
Sí, está buenísimo.
Sí, Sachitanand, ya.
Jai Sachidanand, ¿cómo está la Patri y su Prajasta Rak? El apego al Gnani.
Y queda full. Full.
Sí, sí. Enséñanos el regalito que tienes nuevo. ¡Qué bien!
Es hermoso.
Sí.
Qué
Acá lo
lindo,
tengo.
Patri.
Sí.
No lo vi. Carlos no lo vio, a ver.
¿Por qué regalito nuevo, amiga? ¿Qué pasó?
Me regalaron esto, no pasó nada. Ah, ya, se me cayó.
Qué lindo, te llegó entonces, qué
Sí,
lindo.
sí.
Oh, qué bendición.
Sí.
¿Qué tal les pase, sí, Patri?
Bien, muy bien, muy bien.
Sí,
Muy bien.
qué
Sí,
lindo,
sí.
con tu familia.
Sí, 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 se acordaba de todos, mando besos y abrazos para todos.
Bueno, lo pasaron hermoso, ¿no?
Muy lindo, muy lindo, muy lindo. Tiene una familia hermosa, muy linda, y ella es amorosa también.
Sí, es un encanto, Ceci.
Sí, sí. Un placer.
Qué bueno, qué bueno.
Ya estás con el placer, hablando de placer.
Un placer bueno también ese, pero bueno, el otro es confiable, 100%.
Sí, sí, sí. Sí. ¿Y vos cómo estás con la piernita?
Y acá estoy ya saliendo de la infección y después de 11 días y empecé ahora con la rehabilitación de nuevo. Pero claro, tuve 3 días de rehabilitación y ayer llegué fusilada, pero bien, fusilada bien. Así que bueno, ahí vamos. Ya estoy andando despacito por casa con las 2 muletas, no poniéndole suavecito, digamos, poniéndole poquito peso, siempre
Sí.
con las muletas. Y ahora el 17 lo veo de vuelta con otra radiografía y ahí vamos a ver, porque a lo mejor ya ahí empiezo a usar una sola muleta para la pierna izquierda nada más. Y bueno, y ahí vamos yendo.
Proceso.
Sí.
Ya terminando.
Esto lleva, y por lo menos tengo un mes más de rehabilitación, eso seguro, por supuesto, y más o menos serán 3 meses para poder volver a manejar, ¿no? Y andar solita, andar como siempre, como antes.
Sí.
Es largo. Es largo porque no se le puede poner el peso, porque es la articulación. Nada más
Claro.
que eso.
Bueno,
Porque la
maravilloso
operación fue
proceso.
Sí.
Sí. Y no estás enyesada, que eso es bárbaro.
Sí, es fabuloso. Es fabuloso, la verdad.
Y menos en verano.
Impresionante. No, aparte el peso, la incomodidad, no, es otra cosa.
No, pero
Es
aparte
otra
con
cosa.
verano te pica, tenés que aprender a rascarte con una aguja de tejer. Yo me rompí
Sí.
una pierna.
No. No, aparte que él me explicaba, no todo es para operación, pero justo esto era para operación porque había hundimiento en el hueso también. Y entonces hubo que rellenar. Y bueno, Y nada, y esto era para operar sí o sí, lo antes posible y ya está.
Buenísimo.
¿Qué pasa? Sí, sí, sí. Va a quedar bárbaro, y está bárbaro. Está muy bien. Voy a sonar cuando pase por por el aeropuerto, voy a sonar, pero bueno, ahí ya se van a ver los dos
O sea
clavos.
que mi hijo tiene 3 placas de titanio en la mandíbula inferior y no suena.
Ah, ¿no suenan? Ah, qué
No,
bueno. Yo todavía pensaba, digo, a lo mejor hay que tener algún certificado, alguna cosa, ¿o no? No.
no. Yo no me acuerdo
Bueno,
dónde fui que sonaba y sonaba y sonaba y le dije a la policía, revísame. Me saqué zapatos, todo.
¿y qué
Y
era? Cualquier
nada,
cosa.
no sé, no tengo ni idea. Le digo, revísame.
Sí,
Y no, me hizo pasar.
hay veces que hasta los rubores o algo, tienen atrás, una alarma que si no te
Sí,
la sacaron nunca, viste, suena y uno no tiene ni idea.
claro.
Suele suceder, sí, sí. Bueno, ay,
All right. Shall we continue?
Ready.
This is a very big chapter. Uh, of finding pleasure, that which we find pleasure in life, pleasant, you see. The illusion of pleasure or simply pleasure, you see. Wherever you find anything pleasant, you see, and that is level 3, you see, level 3 of Deepak Bhai. Dada doesn't talk about these 5 levels, by the way. This first level, don't hurt anyone. Second level, do not feel hurt. You see, those 2 are associated with abhorrence. You see, dvesh, negative reactions, hurt, pain, and then the third level is pleasure. You see, to find out where you're getting what you find pleasant in life. You see, where is the pleasure, you see. And the fourth level is where you become involved or tanmayakar, you see. But here we are trying to understand, Dada is showing us the exact nature of what is considered pleasure and what is going on with reference to this pleasure in life through this body, you see.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Este es un capítulo muy, muy importante que habla sobre encontrar placer en la vida, y en realidad es la ilusión del placer. Es cuando encontramos placer. Y esto tiene que ver con el nivel 3. Dada no hablaba de esto, pero el Gnani sí. Este es el nivel 3. El primero es no herir, el segundo es no sentirte herido. Estos dos tienen que ver con la aversión. El tercer nivel es el placer, que tiene que ver con el apego. Y el cuarto nivel es involucrarse, tanmayakar. Y da la exacta naturaleza de lo que se considera placer en la vida a través del cuerpo.
There is a very famous saying which you are all familiar with, Kabir, Saint Kabir, Sahaj mila so doodh barabar, that which is attained naturally is like milk. Yeah, I know, I'm sure you're familiar with this because we have discussed this before, you see.
Todos deben de haber escuchado sobre unnaturally, you said? Unnaturally or naturally?
Naturally. It comes to you naturally. It flows your way. You're sitting and all of a sudden somebody says, hey, please, would you please, somebody offers you something that you love,
Todos deben de conocer a San Kabir, y él decía que lo que se obtiene natural es como la leche, ¿no? Viene así de forma natural, fluye hacia ti.
See, and the second line is Mangliya so pani. In other words, if you ask for it, it's like water, you see.
La segunda línea es, dice, pide por ello, es como el agua.
And this final is, of course, Kech Liya so Rakt Barabar. And that is if you snatch it away, it is like blood. In other words, see, these are the three lines I've given you. Sahaj mila so doodh barabar. If it comes to you naturally, it's like milk. If you ask for it, if you have to ask for something, then it's like water. The same thing is like water now, you see. And if you grab it, snatch it by force or by deceit, it's like it turns into blood, you see. It's like blood.
Y la tercera línea dice que todo aquello que quieras obtener por medio de la fuerza es sangre, es como la sangre.
You see, so it is with pleasure, you see.
Y lo mismo sucede con el placer.
That which arises as a pleasant circumstance, as favorable, comfortable around you, is, if it comes naturally to you, it's good. There's nothing wrong with it. Enjoy it. Let Let the enjoyer enjoy it. Let the enjoyer enjoy it.
Lo que surge como placer natural deja que el que disfruta lo disfrute. Y está bien.
Yeah, yeah. And you don't have to worry about it. The enjoyer will enjoy it. Right?
El que disfruta, lo disfrutamos.
Yeah, nobody says, oh, what's this? Everybody gets into whatever they like or quote unquote love, you see.
Es disfruta, nadie dice que no. Y todos entran cuando viene así de forma natural el placer, nadie se niega, entran y lo disfrutan.
The only difference now for us, and that of course is that's a very big, it's a very, and that Kabir quote by Dadashri is a very big thermometer of sincerity. You see, it's a very big sincerity to the self. It's a very big thermometer of sincerity to the self. Did it come naturally to me? Did it come naturally to me? Did it flow towards me? You know?
La única y gran diferencia que Kabir lo cantaba para Dada, ¿no? Es como un gran termómetro de sinceridad del ser. Y todo va a venir naturalmente, suavemente y fluirá a mí.
And if you go grab for it, or if anger, force is used to grab it through the power of your, whatever power you have in the relative, you try to get it, or you try to get it through devious and deceitful means before, so that the other person doesn't know about it. Though that thing is like taking away somebody's blood, it is not, that is such in these three lines of Kabir, Dada has expanded it to the perfect definition of morality, you see. In fact, the term, I said sincerity, but this is the definition of morality, you see.
Yes. Si las cosas van a venir, fluirán naturalmente hacia ti, pero si lo fuerzas con el enojo, el engaño, con cualquier poder que tengas para obtenerlo, es como robarle la sangre a otra persona. Y esta es la más perfecta definición de moral, ¿no? Podría ser sinceridad, pero acá usa la palabra moral, moralidad. Es la más perfecta definición.
And sincerity is to align yourself to this goal. You see, to align yourself to this goal of the analogy of the milk, water, and blood. Milk, water, blood.
Sinceridad es alinear para esto, ¿no? Es como decir, es como la leche o como el agua.
Or blood.
O sangre.
Yeah. You see, and the thing is, all these three things, whether it is leche, agua, or sangre, or blood, all three are happening in the relative. They're happening to the non-self complex, you see. It's happening to this body complex, you see, not to you and I. Not to the knowers. The knower has to know
Yes.
this. The knower, of course, knows. Knower knows. The knower knows.
Estas tres cosas, la leche, el agua y la sangre, es en lo relativo. Estas son cosas que tienen que ver con el complejo del no ser. Y no es a mi ser el que le sucede, no es al conocedor. El conocedor conoce, el conocedor sabe.
Good time to see if everybody is this Gabi. Yes, my dear Gabi.
Jai Sachidanand,
Jai
Chua.
Sachidanand.
Mi pregunta es con respecto a la sexualidad. En el caso de una persona como mi archivo 1 que está sola, no tiene pareja estable, pero de pronto puede surgir en ella la intención natural de querer tener sexo, y puede tener un compañero que no necesariamente un compañero como pareja, sino que un compañero sexual, debiese permitir esa fluidez, así como dejarse llevar naturalmente, disfrutar de ese momento, o eso raya en lo que no es lo moral. ¿Cómo es qué es lo correcto y permitir que eso fluya sin interferencia del intelecto de considerar si es bueno o malo, si es hoy día o mañana? ¿Es permitir que eso suceda simplemente? Manteniéndome yo obviamente separada.
Gaby's question is about sexuality and of her file 1, and she is not have a couple or husband, but sometimes she has intentions of sex. Is it good? She's asking about having a person for sex and enjoy it naturally. Is it moral? Is it okay? It's good for her to let it happen?
Okay, all right. Say that.
And enjoy it? Yes.
Yes, Gabi,
manteniéndome yo separado, obvio.
She
que
knows,
está ocurriendo a mi archivo 1, no a mí.
She knows that it happens to file 1 days.
If you know that this is happening, this is file 1, just like hunger. This is the hunger of file 1. You see, hunger cannot be denied. You see, hunger cannot be suppressed. If you suppress hunger, if you suppress it here, if it block it here, it will come out from here in different ways, you see. So you do not suppress it. You be aware of it. Be aware of it, that this is happening to Gabi, right? And is there anything wrong with it? There is nothing wrong or right with it, you see. Yeah, there is no wrong or right to that which happens to the body. It is only the belief that this is wrong and right that kills you, you see. It is, yes, if these words of Kabir apply, you see. These words of Kabir apply, you see. These words of Kabir are very deep. Will it hurt anyone? Is it right? If it draws blood, then it is wrong. In other words, is it going to create hurt? Then what's the meaning of it? You say so. So if it comes naturally, there is nothing wrong with it. You see. That is natural.
Todo esto que estás diciendo es el hambre del archivo 1. Y vos sabés qué es el archivo 1. Y esto que sucede no lo podés suprimir. Si lo bloqueas y no sale, va a estar saliendo por otro lado. Es estar consciente que esto le está sucediendo a Gaby. Y no hay nada que esté bien o que esté mal. Esto es algo que le sucede al cuerpo. Es la creencia de que está bien o está mal lo que te mata. Las palabras de aquí, de cabir, aquí caben. Lo que viene en forma natural es como la leche. Y lo que viene a través de la fuerza, sí, de la fuerza, es la sangre y trae dolor.
You see, this paragraph about the knowing part, know that this arises in, desire arises in Gavi, and you are the knower of the desire, you see. You are knower of the desire. Know the nature of desire, you see. You know, the difference now is that you have been moved away from all the complications of I need it, I have to have it, I'm going to get it by hook or crook, I am going to be deceitful, you see. And that is where the problems arise, you see.
Yes. Conocer la parte de dónde surge, ¿no? El deseo surge en Gaby y tú conoces la naturaleza del deseo. Ahora vos fuiste movida o removida de la complicación de la codicia de querer tener, que eso es lo que causa problemas.
Entonces cuando surge el conocimiento y te das cuenta de que es codicia lo que está funcionando ahí, y luego ese deseo de manera natural se aplaca, en eso no se considera entonces como una interferencia, un no dejar ser la expresión, sino que es solo el conocimiento lo que está aplacando el deseo.
When the knowledge comes and the greed and the desire naturally disappears, is the knowledge what makes the desire disappear?
There are two things. One is you said when the knowledge appears, the greed and the desire, there is a difference between greed and desire. Desire is a fundamental instinct of the body, and desire is a fundamental instinct of the body. It's like hunger in the stomach. You are hungry, now you have to have food. You're tired, you want to go to sleep. You see, that is, so desire is at the level of the body, and then greed is at the level of ignorance. You see, the greed does not apply anymore to you in knowledge. What disappears is greed. What disappears when knowledge comes is there is no greed. Knowledge says, I'm aware of desire, it's happening to Gabi. And the knowledge will say, the next part of knowledge that is shared today is if it arises naturally, if the circumstances arise naturally, you see. Desire is one element inside, desire is one evidence. Then the circumstance that fulfill that desire will arise, or the circumstances will change so that the desire goes away. So, Desire comes and goes. Desire comes and goes, you see. But greed is gone. There is no greed where there is eoso amapura, soyamapura. There is no greed, there is no anger, there is no pride, there is no deceit. There is none of that, you see.
Vos hablaste de la codicia y del deseo. El deseo es algo que es fundamentalmente es del cuerpo, ¿no? Lo que el cuerpo necesita. Y la codicia no es del cuerpo, es de la ignorancia. Pero vos fuiste absolutamente, pero no aplica esto para vos porque vos fuiste removida de lo relativo. Entonces el conocimiento con el conocimiento lo que desaparece es la codicia. Y vos ahora sabés que el deseo es de Gaby, del cuerpo. Entonces las evidencias vienen en forma natural. El conocimiento dice como que si surge una circunstancia, la circunstancia va a traer una evidencia y estas tienen que ver con el deseo de Gaby.
Dadashri, I will give you Dadashri's words of desire that he shared with the Germans or somebody recently. Dadashri says, and he said this on the 17th of May 1973, he says that desire that just arises and goes away, I do not call that desire. The desire arises and then it goes away. I do not call that desire.
We talked about that in the last satsang, Shuddha.
Oh, I see. Yeah, right, maybe, yes. Okay, good, thank you. That which continues and continues and continues inside, that is desire, you see. It continues inside. And you are the knower of it, So when you become aware of that it's there and there, then you know that the evidences are going to arise which will bring it to its fulfillment, you see, one way or the other.
Yes. Bueno, Shuddha dice que habló de esto, que Dada dice, y se habló de esto en el último satsang, que el deseo surge y se va. Entonces no lo llamo deseo, dijo Dada. Lo que permanece continuamente adentro del archivo 1 es eso, es el deseo. Ahora sabes que es lo que suceda va a tener que ver con las evidencias que vendrán a ti.
Desire is just one of the evidence inside, and then there are circumstances, you see. And you're right, with Gnan and with the energy of the self, you see. With the energy of the self, there is, that this is an illusion. You see, this illusory attractions are of numerous types, and in front of them, I am the blissful one, you see. All that illusion that deludes, the illusions that will delude me are of numerous types. You see, these are all illusions of pleasure, are they not? They are the illusions of pleasure, are of numerous types, and in front of them, I am the one with infinite bliss. I am the home of infinite bliss. That wipes off these desires for a while, you see. That takes it away, you see. It just, that's what happens in Gnan. Gnan takes away desire, you see. Gnan takes away so many desires, you see.
Yes. El deseo es la evidencia y hay una circunstancia. Con el Gnan y la energía del ser ves que es una atracción ilusoria que surge enfrente. Hay diferentes, numerosos tipos de deseos ilusorios, pero vos sos el ser lleno de dicha infinita. Y eso sucede. Eso es lo que sucede con el Gnan.
And also, the sexual impulse. The sexual impulse is a very complicating desire. In other words, it's not just like having, going to the restaurant and ordering your favorite cake. No, you know that it involves a lot of involvement with another corporation of six, you see. Gabi is a corporation of six, and then there is a corporation of six. If it is simply a matter of a physical outlet, it is fine. There's nothing wrong. If it's not going to complicate with kashais, that is where it can get into difficulties, you see.
El impulso del sexo es complejo, no es como ir a un restaurante y ordenar el plato que te gusta. Y es complejo porque ese deseo involucra como una corporación de seis, entendí yo. Pero si no tenés kashais, no hay kashais, entonces no hay problema. Si no, sí, es como sin kashais.
Kashai. The Lord has said, at all costs avoid kashais, you see. But if there are no kashais and it is simply a physical need of the body, the Lord doesn't deny it or reject it or prevent it, you see. He doesn't say this is wrong, you see.
Perdón, Patri, me parece que no era una corporación de seis, sino que un cuerpo sexual, básicamente, como si solo fuese un cuerpo.
Está bien, gracias, porque no lo había entendido bien. Sí,
claro.
Sí, gracias. Sí, no lo entendía yo tampoco.
Okay.
El Lord dice que evites los kashais. Sí, es un tema del cuerpo, está bien, pero evita los kashais.
Kashai is the problem. You do not want to enter into any kashais anymore. That is the greatest thing. Your kashai means anything that's going to disturb you. If it doesn't cause any disturbance, it's just a purely physical thing like having breakfast, dinner, etc. See?
El tema son los kashais. Sí, fundamentalmente nada te altera, no hay kashais, es tan simple como tomar un desayuno.
Okay, my dear. So, all right, yeah. Shuddhatma Bhagavan, our time is way better. We let us continue this next time. This is very beautiful.
No escucho nada.
Big chapter on pleasure. You see, pleasure is seen for what it is with awareness. The more the light, you see the nature of pleasure. You see, and you see it as a saiyog. See it as a circumstance. It comes and goes. There is no pleasure that can be compared with the pleasure that Cristian was talking about, the pleasure of the self, you see, bliss of the self, you see. Ananta Sukhdam Evo Shuddhatma Chu. I am the abode of infinite bliss multiplied by infinite bliss, you see. I am the ocean of absolute bliss, you see. Ananta Anant, Dadashri has said, Ananta Ananta Sukha Dham Evo Shuddha Atma Chu. You see, infinite times infinite. Hu Ananta Ananta Sukhadham. Not only Ananta Sukhadham, but infinite multiplied by infinite bliss. You see, this is how blissful I am as who I am. You see, Ananta Ananta Sukhadham. Evo Shuddhatma Chu. And in front of me, these are all transient illusory pleasures only, you see, transient illusory pleasures only, you see.
Poder con la luz puedes ver la naturaleza de los deseos y ves que vienen y se van. No hay placer, como decía Cristian, no hay mayor placer que la dicha del ser. Y yo soy infinita dicha multiplicada por infinita dicha. Soy el océano de la dicha.
Yeah.
Y soy quien soy. Y frente a mí, los placeres ilusorios.
Yes. Vishuddhatma Bhagavan, this is exactly how it is. This is exactly who we are. And this little paragraph that Dadashri has given us is very magnificent. Go deeper into it. Look at these words that have been translated over and over again and see what it really means, you see. For the experiences of pleasure that we have been through and the desire for any pleasure, you see. And there is one more thing, Gabi, that Dada has given us, is this pratyakhyan, you see, for the pain that arises in the pursuit of pleasure, there is pratikraman, and for the desire, the new desires that arise, there is pratyakhyan, you see. And there is pratyakhyan that that is associated with this exact application, that I don't want anything temporary. This I am the blissful one, you see. I am the blissful one, But, the circumstances are of the non-self only, and they will arise and they will depart. So that's how it is.
Esto es exactamente como es, y no, este párrafo, ¿no? Lo que estuvimos leyendo, estas palabras hermosas de Dada, como, esto es exacto como es y quién soy, y Dada nos da este magnífico conocimiento de ver qué significa y el deseo del placer, ¿no? Y nos invita a que lo veamos o que lo leamos nuevamente para poder entender profundamente de qué se trata. Y para Gaby está el pratyakam, que dice, no quiero nada que tenga que ver con lo temporal, yo soy el ser dichoso. Y para lo que causa dolor está el pratikrama. Y todo esto pertenece al complejo del no ser, y todo lo que es deseo viene y se va.
So Shuddhatma Bhagavan, wonderful. Jai Sachidanand, wonderful for your presence. Thank you for your company and satsang. May we all continue to be the pure knowers that we are, and rise in our knowing state.
Que todos podamos estar en el estado del conocedor y el conocimiento surja en todos nosotros. Thank you, Shuddha.
Yeah, Jai Sachidanand.
Jai Sachidanand.
Jai Sachidanand. Jai
Thank you, Sudha. Jai Sachidanand.
Jai Sachidanand. Jai Sachidanand. Shuddhatma Bhagavan, everyone. Huh?
Jai
Wonderful.
Sachidanand.
Jai Sachidanand. Yeah. Jai Sachidanand.